Welcome to the 25th episode of Global Heat Map. It's an initiative by USI of India where we take you through important international and strategic issues of last 2 weeks to update all the candidates appearing for any competition. In today's episode, we will talk about crisis in Nepal. Israel has attacked Qatar. We'll talk about the implications. Russian drones were found in Poland. Of course, it is an escalation and we will decode that as well. Trump's tariff war is going a different way. We'll talk about that as well. India and Mauritius have strengthened their partnership. In domestic front, we had GST reforms and Prime Minister Modi has made a visit to Manipur after a long time. We will talk about that. In Nepal, last week, we saw unprecedented protests, and these protests were against the entire political class and not specifically to the ruling party. And they were generally by the Generation Z, that is the young protesters. The face value, they were triggered by the social media ban by the government, which was later taken off as well. But the broader cause was corruption, nepotism, elitism, targeting the political elites and political masters whom they feel have exploited the system. In that, the government institutions were vandalized. The presidential palace was attacked. The Prime Minister's office was attacked. The parliament was attacked, the Supreme Court was attacked, the Prime Minister Oli has to resign, and the army had to step in and take control of it after a number of people had died. So this was a protest which did turn violent with large amount of casualties, unprecedented after the democracy had taken over. Similarly, after that, we found some solace in a manner that army was able to control it, and they acted professionally after the situation went so bad. And thereafter, I think the interim government was installed under former Chief Justice Sushila Karki, who has a very clean image and has been quite hard on corruption. And interestingly, her name was decided by, again, Generation Z, by through Discord social media platform. So this is also an interesting turnover of the government in a manner that this trend has started in South Asia. It happened earlier in Sri Lanka, and then it was the similar thing was done in Bangladesh. Of course, in Bangladesh, somebody was parachuted from USA. So a foreign hand is more evident, not so much evident in this particular case. But the damages have been substantial, more than what Nepal faced in last floods and last earthquake. The interim government leader, the acting Prime Minister Sushila Karki, has announced elections in March. So she has declared her intentions are very clear. She just wants the situation to stabilize, for meaningful election to take place and a meaningful government to come up as part of democracy. So we see that Nepal is slowly limping towards normalcy, but the future is uncertain because the breed of politicians and the political leaders remain the same. Even if they are re-elected or the elections are held in March, it may well happen that some of them, they'll end up in making the government, and they could perhaps be the same figures against whom the anger of the younger generation was tremendous. So we will have to wait and see as to how Nepal gets back to normalcy. But the kind of protests which have happened in 3 countries around India indicates that there is trend of regime change through social unrest in some manner or the other, whether by internal factors or by perhaps external hand, as was being seen in case of Bangladesh. Israel has attacked Qatar. Now, why it is significant is because Qatar is an ally of USA And USA has the largest air base in Middle East in Qatar, housing about 9 to 10,000 US soldiers. That is Al Adid US air base, or US base, in fact, which has other soldiers as well. Uh, Although Israel says that they have targeted the Hamas terrorists, but the fact is that these were negotiators and they were also hosted by Qatar for negotiation. So it has given a slightly different message. Firstly, Qatar is unhappy because their sovereignty has been breached, their territorial integrity has been breached, and uh, they also lost a security personnel along with these terrorists. Although the attack was not that successful because those leaders who came for negotiations, they have not got injured or killed, but some other lower cadre have got killed, 6 of them. But the reckless action of Israel has been seen and not been appreciated by US also, at least from the optics point of view, because US claims that it did not have prior approval. It was not informed earlier. It was informed at the last minute, and they did try to inform Qatar, but it was too late. That's one. Secondly, there was a conference against this attack in UNSC, and UNSC condemned this attack, and US also did not veto that, and also signed condemning this attack. So with this, apparently it did not had US approval, but then the fact is that US certainly agrees that Hamas needs to be punished, and also the US Secretary of State is in Israel, and he has somehow indirectly given support to Israel, and also has said that the Hamas is terrorist and diplomatic solution is not possible and Hamas must be destroyed. So basically, he is reassuring Israel that they have the backing of US when they are taking even such actions. The Arab world is certainly outraged, and Arab, that is OIC, has also called out for a conference, and they earlier there used to be talks of Arab making some kind of defense agreements within each other, something on the lines of NATO. Although that did not happen so far because there are far too many interests or conflicting interests within the Arab community as well. But let's see if the Arab can put a joint front in some manner or the other. So somehow this has not gone off well, and Qatar, as well as not only that Qatar was mediating, the fact is that with this, even any hopes of any kind of ceasefire have also gone out of the window. Most important thing is that as far as Israel is concerned, they also are under some kind of pressure because hostages are still with Hamas. And unless all hostages are released, they also cannot call out an operation. And therefore, they are continuing with the kind of operation which they are going along in Gaza. In Gaza, of course, in Gaza city, the operations are in full swing. Some more high-rise buildings have been knocked off. And it appears that Israel has actually lost count of the cost of the civilian deaths or deaths being caused because of starvation, but they still somehow want to finish off Hamas and get their hostages released in some manner or the other. So we will have to wait and see whether the international community, which is deadly against us, can put some pressure on Israel or otherwise. But so far, Israel is going ahead with staunch US support. Russia-Ukraine war took a slightly different turn in a manner that there were news of some drones being struck by Poland, and they were Russian drones, as Poland claims it. Russia says that they haven't sent any drones to Poland. At the same time, a similar report also came from Romania that they also were chasing some drones which violated their airspace in some manner or the other. Now, this seems to be a provocation for NATO. as far as Russians are concerned, they say no, they have not sent any drones, and this has been made up either by Ukraine or by NATO themselves. As far as Poland is concerned, they claim that they have shot down 3 drones, and they also have some debris of these drones to display as evidence. Uh, in case Russia has actually sent those drones, the only possible reason could be to caution NATO not to interfere in Ukraine, because Russians have also announced that any interference in Ukraine will be treated as an act of war and will be punished accordingly, including the supply chain from wherever it is coming. So, in that context, maybe it could be read as a slightly different signal. As far as the negotiations are concerned, I don't think they are proceeding ahead. They are on hold. Russia on ground is making progress. They have captured some more villages, and also the scale of bombardment on Ukraine and destruction on Ukraine has also been quite substantial. And therefore, as far as on ground battle is concerned, Russia is making steady progress. Trump's tariff war is also taking a slightly different turn, because Trump has also become cautious of tariffs on some of the important members. Trump has urged G7 as well as EU to put secondary tariffs on China, 100% secondary tariffs of China, that if all these are ready to put, then Trump will Trump will also join in. So basically, he has put the ball in the court of Europeans as well as the other members of NATO, that you tariff China and then I will join. And he is also urging Europe to stop buying Russian oil, because he has come under a lot of criticism that the Europeans are buying Russian oil, Chinese are buying Russian oil, US itself is buying Russian fertilizers and nuclear fuel, and why have they singled out India in targeting secondary tariffs on India? So I think he's again now putting a ball back in the court of European Union, that either you do it, and if you do it, then I will do it. But Europe has a problem. The problem with Europe is their oil dependency may not be that much. That is only 6% of Russian oil they are buying, but their gas dependency is tremendous. They are buying almost about 22% of, 40% of Russian gas. Now that is quite substantial, and I don't think they are in a position to cut off that gas. So Trump also has very smartly did not touch the gas part of it. He's only talking about oil part of it. Similarly, the second part is even more difficult, that they cannot impose 100% secondary tariff on China, because they buy 22% of their goods are coming from China. Now that will shoot their inflation to an unmanageable level, and therefore I don't think that is a practical step. But Trump would have certainly bought time to perhaps engage with Russia in that manner. And as far as the other tariffs are concerned, with China, Trump seems to be close to a TikTok deal, and he's also planning to talk to Xi Jinping. That is what he's communicating. So he's playing double game, cozying up to China on one side at some point of time, and also trying to tell G7 and EU to put more pressure on China, both at the same time. Somewhat similar cases with India. Trump has softened up, made some good tweets in favor of India in last 2 weeks, which were appropriately responded positively by the Indian Prime Minister also. But then the fact is there has been no concessions as far as the secondary tariffs or any kind of tariffs are concerned. But the positive indicator is that Trump's team is in India, despite his aides giving a lot of awkward remarks on India last time, which we discussed last time. I think on ground, some good sense has prevailed, and they are in India. There are a couple of caveats also, because their Commerce Secretary did mention that India must buy American corn. Now, India can't be forced to buy that corn for the simple reason because Indian requirement is about 45 million tons, whereas India produces 44 million tons. So there is hardly any case for buying it from USA, and we are, whatever small requirement we have, we are buying from Ukraine and some other Asian countries as well. So that is again a no-go kind of situation. But let's see, now that the negotiations have started, let's see if something appropriate or something better comes out. Another visitor to India was Mauritius Prime Minister, who came here, and Mauritius is very important to us. A lot of Indians live there. Strategically, it is located in Indian Ocean, and India announced $680 million package for infrastructure development there. Mauritius is also a strategic partner in a manner that we are now looking at the joint survey and including development of the Chagos Maritime Protected Area, which will help us in surveillance of that area from security point of view, as well as from exploration point of view for economic resources for both the countries. Domestically, the important event which happened in last 2 weeks was the announcement of the GST reforms. Now, these GST reforms are a very welcome step in a manner that firstly, the cost of the daily goods is going to come down, and daily use items would certainly come down. The slabs have been reduced from 24% and 12%. I think it has come down to 18% and 5%, and no GST on essential medicines and critical items, as well as on defense equipment. Also, the tax regimes have been simplified and the GST regime has been simplified, and it is being seen as an effort to absorb the shock of Tariff 2 for certain manufacturers who were exporting. So that is another area where perhaps this GST reforms are going to help. And this is an immediate reform. The only thing to be seen is that the commercial sector must pass on these reforms or the benefits of these reforms to the user and to the consumer. That needs to be monitored. Manipur saw Prime Minister's visit after a long time, and another, I think it was a welcome step wherein Prime Minister promised a 8,500 crore package for infrastructure development in Manipur, and various facets of infrastructure development, because infrastructure development improves the connectivity, it also improves the livelihood, and it also improves the inclusivity, and therefore it may help in resolving some of the problems because of which Manipur has some kind of internal frictions which keep emerging time to time. So these were the important events which happened in last 2 weeks. We will come back again for covering the events in next 2 weeks. Thank you very much.